Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
Do you know how uncomfortable it was to have a baby with feet like yours?
We've got Chris.
It's rude to point.
And I'm Kia. Welcome to the show. We're reading some comics today. That's how the show goes. We are reading.
Some of them do. Some of my friends read comics.
Some of my friends. So we are finally getting back to Age of Apocalypse here. We're going to be reading the next miniseries in our order. We're doing X-Calibre. And then we are continuing our read of Knightfall with a little prequel issue, Batman Vengeance of Bane, where we get the beginnings of him. Before we get into all that, though, boy, so much bad news in the comic book world. It's been a really bad year for comic book deaths here. We lost Kevin O'Neill, who was the artist behind League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Did we read both volumes or just one?
Just like the first volume so far.
Yeah,
that was earlier.
We'll have to come back and do more of that.
Yeah.
And a lot of 2000 AD, Judge Dredd, stuff like that we have not read.
Mm-hmm. I'd be interested in reading some of that as well at some point. I don't know. Maybe.
I've been wanting to get into 2000 AD at some point. Judge Dredd is to where to crack in, but I don't know. I mean, it's such a long-running comic magazine. I have no.
Yeah, and it's so far outside the realm of anything we've really talked about. Yeah. But it might be fun to cover some sci-fi comics like that at some point. Rest in peace, Kevin O'Neill. And then another Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman from the old animated series. He's my Batman. He's always going to be who I think of as Batman. So that's, a big old bummer. We'll talk more about that, I'm sure, in the next episode. We're going to do some Batman the Animated Series stuff. So we'll do that. And another friend of the show here, somebody who's not necessarily a comic celebrity, but he was a friend to the comic book scene in San Antonio. I didn't personally know him very well, but Vince, I know you know him. He was on a guest on an episode of this show that I was not on, actually.
Right,
but
yes.
Do you want to talk about him?
Yeah, Marcellus Coe, our friend, passed away recently. He was known as the Geek Father around the San Antonio geek community. He also he was on our Black Panther movie special episode, which would have been like 4.5 years ago now at this point, right when Black Panther 1 came out. So it's been a minute. We always wanted to get him on to cover the Larry Hama G.I. Joe comics, because I know that those are a pretty big comic, and I was like, I do not know this. And Celis was always like, I would love to cover that, and we just never got around to it. But he was a great guy. He got to meet Stan Lee and interview him for his channel. I was on a few episodes of his, and Kimberly was too, of his Blurred Nerds podcast, as well as Pixel Gods, which was his video game show. He's a great guy. He's going to be sadly missed. Really, really cool. Knew everything about comic books history. Just a great guy. Knew more about 70s and 80s comics than I certainly did. But a great guy. Always super friendly. Knew everybody. It's going to be missed. But big loss for the San Antonio nerd gaming comic book community. But yeah, just wanted to give a little friend of the show, passed away. Sad. So.
Yeah, always sad to hear. So rest in peace, and yeah. But let's jump back over to comics. I don't have a good way to segue out of it, so let's just do that. We're gonna be hopping back into Age of Apocalypse here. It's been a long time since we read Age of Apocalypse. Have we read 2 of the miniseries so far?
Well, technically 2 of the miniseries, but we did the Legion quest. So that was episode 169 was the Legion quest, which was in December last year. Then we read
it was like a prelude to Age of Apocalypse. Okay.
Then we read Astonishing and X-Men Alpha, I think, is what we and then we read Age of Apocalypse Astonishing X-Men in February, episode 172, and then in April in April of this year, episode 178, we covered Factor X, which was a pretty good one about Cyclops and his brother.
That
one was really good. It was a lot different. Beast was all like crazy. Series.
And it had good art, not like this book.
No. This book did not have good art.
Not to be too mean to any of the artists, but there's a lot of fill-in. Like I think
I'll be the mean to them. The art was bad.
But I will say, oppositely, very cohesive writing. by Warren Ellis.
Yeah.
So we don't really cover that often, and for a variety of reasons. But yeah, very cohesive writing, very clear story.
Will I agree with that? I don't know. We'll see as we go here. But just to recap, kind of the Age of Apocalypse, just in case anyone's unaware. I mean, they made a movie of it, right? I think people know it's the world where Professor X died and Magneto took up the X-Men mantle and everything.
No, they did not make a movie of that.
I was gonna say they didn't make it.
They made X-Men Apocalypse. Apocalypse was there, but he didn't do his Age of Apocalypse stuff.
They made a 2-episode TV show.
I didn't see the movie. I just assumed they called it Apocalypse. I thought that's what it was going to be.
No, they did Days of Future Past into a movie which involved time travel, and then they made an Apocalypse movie where he just fights. He recruits 3 people and Magneto, and then Magneto's like, I hate you, and turns on him.
Yeah,
okay. So it was not the Age of
Oscar Isaac in
Apocalypse
a
at all.
very
Okay.
boring performance.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did like that movie because it's mostly about shooting beams at each other, and that's what the X-Men is all about.
Yeah, I think when that came out for this show, I think my takeaway was like, I know when the first X-Men movie came out, they were like, I don't think people are going to handle like the real costumes and everything like that. And then by X-Men Apocalypse, they're like purple beams versus red beams, the movie. And it was awesome for that reason.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And Apocalypse is defeated by the power of anti-friendship, that everyone hates him and betrays him.
Great. What happened with the X books during this time is that they all got turned into a different series, just a 4-issue run up until when the whole event ended here. So we read X-Men Alpha, which was like the beginning. The whole thing is going to end with X-Men Omega, and now we're just reading all the miniseries here.
Are we really going to read all of these, Vince?
We are reading the core. You gave me a list of 7 of them to read that were good. So we only have Gambit and the Externals left. Oh, we have Amazing X-Men.
Amazing X-Men. I was going to say that's a big one we're missing.
Amazing X-Men, Gambit and the Externals, and then Twilight of the Age of Apocalypse, which I think is X-Men Omega and maybe something else. We're not reading X-Man or Generation Next or something.
We're not reading Generation X next. That one looks really cool. The art, as I've been like flipping through these Age of Apocalypse collections, I'm like, I kind of want to read that one.
It does have good Chris Batchelor art. I don't think it has anything to do with anything though.
Okay, well then we don't.
What the way that I think we came to the conclusion was we looked at the published trade paperbacks, and like the 6 that Chris recommended off the top of his head were all actually published in 1 month, and then all the ones that he hated were published in a later month, all in that same month.
I want to be clear. I don't hate Generation Next. I like it. I like X-Calibre as a 12-year-old. I like all of them. But is this book as good as the other X-Men Age of Apocalypse books we've read? No, it's not.
Yeah.
I like this one the most.
Really?
Yes,
okay, let's.
I'm glad you liked it, Vince.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
You hate teen books. That makes sense because this is not.
I knew exactly who the main characters to follow were from page 1, and they stuck with them. Yep.
I knew too well who the main character was. The whole point of this one, so like Generation X became Generation Next, Uncanny X-Men became Astonishing X-Men, X-Calibre became X-Calibre, but spelled different, except you can't even tell because Nightcrawler's covering up half the title on the first issue. So come on, Nightcrawler.
That's not what you do on like issue 1. That's really
You save that for later, man. But it's not like Excalibur like the sword, which was the original series, which was like the British team of mutants. This is the letter X dash caliber like a bullet. Okay.
I guess there's one British person. This for Warren Ellis. This is some restraint that he just is like, okay, I'm just going to write about Nightcrawler and a bunch of American mutants.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It doesn't have too much of a link. I mean, I wasn't reading any of this era's Excalibur, so I don't know how much of a link there is.
There's one British character who we'll get to, and then one, I guess, African character, but everyone else is American.
All right. Well, let's get into it here. We start with there's like a white-haired woman named Switchback. She's a mutant from Detroit, and she has showed up at a safe haven called Avalon. And she like had to pay all of her money to somebody who was gonna like get her transported on this boat over to the shore, and then Kane shows up. Kane, what's his last name? Kane Marco,
the Juggernaut.
Yeah,
Juggernaut.
He's handcuffed and he's leading her to Avalon. And they get there, and there's a big splash reveal of what looks like a public domain waterfall that they pasted onto this page. And it's not particularly stunning, but she's stunned by it. So you think it's all right? Fine, it's fine.
It's fine. It's the second issue where I'm like, whew, boy.
Yeah, that's real bad.
But yeah, this is the Savage Land, but it's Avalon now.
Ah, okay.
And it starts, the imagery of the first few pages looks like, and is it the Greek River Styx and stuff, like the taking the person to hell or whatever? It looks
it definitely reminded me of that for sure.
Very good.
I don't know if that was intentional.
Keep that. That's going to be a crossover for next episode. So just
put
really? That in your back pocket.
Okay.
Oh,
so it was intentional. Good job.
Friend of the show, Charon, the ferryman of the dead.
Yeah, from Shin Megami Tensei. Yes.
Yep. But he's going to show up in the next episode we do. But anyway, yeah, Kane is here. He is a religious weirdo who has sworn not to do violence, but he still is the Juggernaut, I guess.
And he's Professor X's brother?
Weirdos.
Yes.
Yeah. Why do they have different last names?
Stepbrother.
Okay. So we have now we're in the ruins of NYC, and we see some sentinels flying around. We have Warren Worthington, aka Angel. He's still running that bar called Heaven. Nightcrawler meets him in the shadows of his office there, and he's like, "Hey, did you make the preparations that I asked for, or else I'm going to be really annoyed," or something like that. And Angel is like, "Oh, hey, Nightcrawler," or something like that, and Nightcrawler goes, whoa, man. I'm in enemy territory right now. Do not go using my code name for everyone to hear. Just call me my full name, Kurt Darkholm, instead.
Sure. I do like it's good comic book writing where he's like, he says the name of the character and then is like, don't say this anymore.
But why does he say, call me by my full name? Isn't that more recognizable? I don't know.
Well,
people know who Nightcrawler
people
is.
know
They don't
who
know Kurt.
Yeah, they don't know that he's the Nightcrawler from the Munich circus. That's like, call me Peter, do not call me Spider-Man.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, because he's not, he is in costume. But yeah, this is opposite of what we have with Lock and Key Problem, where they didn't say characters' names for 2 or 3 issues.
That's true. Oh my god, that was the worst. Oh, all right. So then,
also, I'm wondering, because these are all published at the same time. This is all month 1 of Age of Apocalypse. We saw obviously the Angels Heaven nightclub in Factor X, I want to say, but I don't know. And his elevator was mentioned and all that shit. But I don't know if this was mentioned technically. A reader would have seen this before they would have seen that happening in Factor X.
Yeah, sure. X-Men Alpha definitely introduces Heaven.
Oh, that's right.
But he's just a recurring character, so we're gonna introduce him over and over.
So the whole thing that Nightcrawler's looking for is that he wants safe passage to Antarctica so that he can get to Avalon. He's trying to meet up with his mom, and they are going to look for a woman named Destiny in Avalon because they need her to corroborate a story. Okay. Angel is like, man, Avalon just sounds so fake. And Nightcrawler punches him in the face for it. Nightcrawler's kind of mean in this. Very impatient. I do like it. And Angel's like, all right, fine. Just go to the East River. There's a place called Stark Holdings. Proud Star is there. He'll tell you where to go.
I know that.
Meanwhile, meanwhile, Magneto's having a video call with Mystique. And Magneto's basically telling Mystique the same mission. And Mystique says she is not going to go to Avalon. She is not interested. And Magneto's like, hey, if you don't, I will give you up to Apocalypse. And Apocalypse will rip your arms and legs off. But if you do this job for me, I will not rip your arms and legs off.
It was at this point I forgot that Magneto was a good guy.
Yeah. And look, everyone is a cool anti-hero in this world.
I know,
yeah, pretty much.
Because it's been what 7 or 8 months, 7 months since we did our last Age of Apocalypse. Like, oh right, Magneto is the good guy, Apocalypse is the bad guy. They're not working together. That's right. I had to remind myself this because this scene. I mean, they clearly say it, but I was like,
it really. You're right, but it does make it feel like Magneto's in league with Apocalypse or something in this.
Or like he works for him, but he's like trying to subvert him or something. I kind of misread that the first time, and I was like, okay, wait. Pause, take a step back.
I corrected myself when Magneto shut off his video call and his desktop wallpaper on every single screen was Professor X. And I was like, oh, okay, I remember now. So then,
as you
it-
do.
exactly. So then Nightcrawler shows up to this Stark Holdings building, and everyone, it's like a Burning Man sort of thing. They're calling it the Ghost Dance. I don't really think it's like Burning Man. That was my first impression of it, but it's they call it the first link of the Infernal Gallop, and it's their religion, and they believe that if they dance long enough and with enough passion, that they will erase Apocalypse from this world. And Nightcrawler's like, that's stupid. Just get me out of here. So he's.
I
Go
do
ahead.
like that Age of Apocalypse Nightcrawler is like, I hate religions. I hate
Yeah.
yours as well. Or it's just like the Nightcrawler we know is like so religious, where he's like, no, this version hates religions.
Yeah, this is the best version of Nightcrawler. So Danielle Moonstar, meanwhile, has been listening. She heads over to Apocalypse's place. A robot calls her a redskin, and she like punches it and destroys it. Why are they making racist robots?
Was that a robot or just a guard who wearing
Was it a
Sentinel
guard?
armor? Because
Okay.
Apocalypse says something about killing his guards, doesn't he?
Oh, I thought they were robot guards. Okay, well that's fine. I'm glad she killed the racist. She's going to give
racist robots.
That's
I mean, I've seen these things that say like computers and technology is inherently like sexist and stuff. So I don't know how that works, but I'll believe it. So maybe
Coded by a racist.
if this, then call it racist name. That was the line of code.
So she's going to give Apocalypse info about Nightcrawler heading to Antarctica and all that. And Dead Man Wade is there, who is Deadpool. And he's like,
is this the X-Force team?
Is what?
Deadpool's not associated with X-Force? No.
He's loosely associated with X-Force, but
later,
no,
this is
not
the
really.
2010s,
Yeah.
I think. Okay.
Danny Moonstar later joins X-Force, but yeah, this is because the other character is an original character and he's just a bad guy. So, and then the other person's another just generic X-Men bad guy. So, because there's a mystery man who we don't know is also going with them.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is all later people who become X-Force. This isn't like what the X-Force book turned into. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, there's no Siren. There's no. I mean, we do have Thunderbird, but no Warpath, his brother. So yeah, it's not X-Force.
Yeah.
That's Gambit and the Externals is what the X-Force book becomes.
Okay.
So Apocalypse orders Damask. I don't know who Damask is.
She had not debuted yet, but she gets introduced as a Black Queen in the Hellfire Club later.
Okay. I thought it was a real person who I didn't know. Okay, great.
No. Just like Switchback is also no one.
Okay, I thought Switchback was new. Okay. And Apocalypse orders Damask to prepare her Pale Riders for a sea trip. I thought it was going to be some other people, but it turns out that's just Dead Man Wade and Danny Moonstar. And I guess this secret person who is on board.
Person.
I think at this point I was like, this book is kind of introducing. You're right that it's the opposite problem of Lock and Key. It's like it gives everyone a name, but also like I guess I have enough info of like, sure, if this person's working for Apocalypse, that's really all you need to know. I kind of wanted a little bit more info out of this, but it was fine.
I do like that every. And X-Men Alpha sort of set this up, but it's like every team has like a mission. It's like Nightcrawler, go here, do this.
Yeah, that part is very nice. So then we go back to Avalon here, and Switchback has just gotten there. She meets Destiny, and they go to shake hands, and Destiny's eyes start burning, and she can see the future, and she sees the apocalypse, and everything's burning. Oh no. That's the end of issue 1 there. Nice cliffhanger. Issue 2 is the one with the terrible, terrible fill-in art. Did we mention the artist on the first one here? It was so written by Warren Ellis, art by Ken Lashley. Ken Lashley does 1, 3, and 4, but number 2 is done by Roger Cruz.
Yeah.
And
Renato Arlem, it says.
Yeah, it's rough. Destiny sees this future of Destiny in general can just see the future, so it's not like all of a sudden she can see the future out of nowhere. That part's pretty regular, It's the whole fact that it's a chaotic, dead future, and she their whole home, their safe haven here in Avalon is completely ruined. But not yet, not in reality. Meanwhile, we see some Sentinels destroy the place where that ghost dance was happening. Proudstar tries to fight back with all his people, but I think he's basically dead. I don't think the panel made it super clear, but but we'd never see him again. So I'm just assuming he's dead.
He's dead.
Okay, great. Kurt, meanwhile, is in the submarine with all these other refugees, and they've just lost their oxygen. They're all choking. That's a pretty nice way to introduce some stakes in panel 1 with them. There's like an emergency. They break the surface. I think this is where I really had a hard time with this issue specifically, and what all was going on with these different ships, and they get rescued by Callisto's ship,
right?
And they cut a hole open into the other ship so that they can get them out. Is that right?
Yeah. Why there's like a telekinetic lock or something? They have to like cut through the submarine. I didn't understand that.
Yeah, and where did that come from? Because the whole issue was with the oxygen, not with like the door, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It seems like they're being set up for something, but it's unclear who is setting them up, because then Callisto is just like, well, she's just bad.
Yeah. And so then they get up to the surface. Kurt teleports out of there as soon as he can, like safely teleport up to the outside of the submarine thing. And everyone on the inside of the submarine is like, oh my God, that was terrible. Hey, where did that teleporter go? Oh, he could have saved one of us, but he was too weak to save anybody because he had no oxygen. Now, the ship is being followed by Damask, who has Wade and Moonstar with her.
So the refugees didn't die there?
Not all of them, right?
Not all of them did. Some of them did.
Because the narration's like he hated leaving them to die in their own stench. And I'm like, I was like, this seemed like an opportunity for like a heroic moment that he could have saved some people.
Right.
Well, he tries later and fails again.
So. Right. Or they could have had a visual.
Yeah. This book needed a lot. I took it to mean that he left them to die. It just happens that not all of them died.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, some of them did die, I think, and then some of them are about to die as we continue.
Yeah. That seems way more. It just seemed like it was easier. Like, oh, they all drowned and he left, and they could have had like a moment of him being like selfish, just to show like this Nightcrawler's different.
He still feels bad.
Yeah, or have a heroic moment where he failed or something. And then I went off like a train. Like, why is he even like on this refugee boat? Why isn't he just not like teleporting everybody? Because he can like. What's his teleportation power? He can think about it, but he has to be able to see it or something.
Yeah, he can't teleport like anywhere, Vince. He can teleport. I mean, even if it's like a half a mile or whatever, like that doesn't get you that far. If you're like teleporting, and then if you're like just in the Antarctic or whatever, like he would just fall into the water.
Yeah, I would teleport into the sky and then see above the cloud line, see like 12 miles, however far you could see him.
Yeah, like keep chain teleporting.
Yeah, but then he would probably have to rest he'd have to do a long rest every time.
He needs a rest.
Oh, he has to rest. I guess it does waste calories. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So he can't just do that forever. But yeah, we also skipped over. So in the first issue, somebody, or Proudstar, I think, or somebody at the Ghost Dance was like, yeah, we know all about your mother. She just robs people and then kills them. And Nightcrawler's like, no, that's not true. And so now he's just like, maybe it is true. I don't know.
I will say, I think in general, my biggest problem with this book is that people don't use their powers enough. Nightcrawler barely does any bamfing. He does it a few times. Mystique barely ever does any shape-shifting. It's once and it's stupid. All right. We'll get there. We'll get there.
She doesn't even turn like into a giant whale or anything.
But she can't do that.
She's not like that kind of a shapeshifter. She can turn into like other people.
Was that
yes. Was that Morph turned into a whale, but Morph has different powers.
Okay.
Yeah. So then so Damask has Wade and Moonstar with her. Moonstar is having fun on this ship, just cutting up Wade and watching him heal over and over again. Okay, she seems kind of unhinged. I didn't pick up any of that in the first issue. Their mission is to get to Avalon and to destroy it. Okay, cool. But then Damask just kills Moonstar because she wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we
in
might
this
learn,
world, the demon bear is good.
We might
Okay.
learn a little later that something else is happening
Okay.
with her. Right?
With Damask?
Yeah.
I don't think
Spoiler
that's
alert.
why. I think she just killed her.
Oh,
think
I
she
thought
just
she
killed
I
her
thought
here.
she was possessed by somebody. We'll find out about later.
No, I think
No,
she just killed her.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
she's just killing her.
Yeah. And it just happens. And Wade is like, hey, you killed her. All right.
Yeah, it is funny like how low Deadpool stock is at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So then this next scene is the one that really killed this issue for me 100%. Kurt sees an unused ballast tank. He tries to open it. There's voices on the other end. And he's like trying to open it. And then on the next page, everyone is just drowning in the Atlantic. And I guess they all die.
Yeah,
And the captions here. Go ahead. I need you to make sense of this. Go ahead.
Callisto and her crew are like, we need to hold all your valuables, blah, 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 and then load everyone up. And then they're basically sealing it off where they're just going to launch this whatever from their boat out into the water for everyone to drown.
That art was so unclear as to like that's what was happening. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. I wasn't the only one. Because I was also still thought from the earlier thing that everybody had already died. And I'm like, did he find another refugee ship and get them all killed? I was very confused.
I read and reread these pages, and I guess that I kind of thought that's what was happening by the end of it, but I'm like, no, if that's what was happening, then surely they would have showed it. But I guess not. And okay, and then the captions were like Kurt's narration, but I guess it shifted to different narration because they're like, another job well done, the 6th such this year. They relax or something like that. I'm like, what? Why is Kurt saying that? I thought he was what? And all right, whatever.
Yeah, it's a weird narrator perspective.
It's very weird. So the story is that Apocalypse has been dumping these dead bodies into atrocity zones, they're calling them, because there's no room for dead bodies in America anymore, which is not true because we've seen a lot of just rubble and nothingness everywhere where you could just stock up dead bodies there, and I'm sure it would be fine. But I guess Apocalypse doesn't want to keep them there. So that's the whole thing. That's Callisto's whole mission, just deliver dead bodies. And then, oh boy, we are saved. This whole issue is redeemed by Pirate Mystique, who shows up, and she's got a gun, and she looks cool.
Yeah, I mean it's a good cliffhanger.
It is a good cliffhanger.
Yeah, the art in this issue are really rough. This was Roger Cruz. He's very young. He's still, I don't know if he's still working today, but he was up until a few years ago. I think he still is. And he's gotten a lot better. But at this point, he's not good.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to X-Calibre number 3, art by Ken Lashley again. Who did this cover, though? This cover was incredible. It looked like a Sinkovich-y kind of thing, but I don't think it was Sinkovich.
They didn't
I couldn't
give
make out the name. They didn't give any sort of credit there. So, yeah, I'd be curious.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping, like, oh, is this issue going to have this kind of art? It did not.
It says
I do remember this
Pacheco on
cover.
the side.
Yeah, Carlos Pacheco.
And BS. Pacheco and BS. That's probably Sienkiewicz. I don't know if he just did the inking or did Pacheco ink.
That would make sense because
That would make sense.
Kurt, he does look very Bill Sienkiewicz looking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, there we go.
Good job, Kia. Way to go.
Mystery solved.
Mystery solved. But now the mystiquery is not solved. Mystique,
Bad job.
Your segues are great, Kia. No notes.
Mystique was she showed up on that boat, and Kurt's like, "Hey, Mom, how'd you find me?" Did we mention that Mystique is Kurt's mom in this? I think like canonically that's not how it is.
You had said when we talked about this, I thought this was super cool. Is it had been suspected, and then Age of Apocalypse being a different continuity confirmed it. Like it was like no, and it was like low key, like yeah, obviously, like I'm his mom. It's like what the fuck? This universe is confirming stuff in the real universe. That's cool. So I was like, I thought that was a cool idea.
Yeah, I think it had just come out in X-Men Unlimited, which is a very irrelevant series where Rogue and Nightcrawler find out the truth about it, blah blah blah, which then gets turned into an episode of the cartoon. Um, but yeah, it was very new information at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Does Mystique have two children? Who's or no? Is it just Nightcrawler?
Well, I mean, she adopted Rogue, so
That's
it
what
kinda
it is.
counts.
Okay.
So Mystique was not even looking for Kurt. She was just going after the Callisto ship because they keep killing her people. Cool.
They keep killing the people I'm trying to rob.
Yep. Wade is mourning the death of Danny Moonstar still. Then Mystique and Kurt go back to Mystique's Snow Castle base, wherever this is. And this is where your quote came from. I like the little scene about Nightcrawler being like, "I hope you have central heat in this place," and Mom's like, "Hey, your dad had fur. Oh, isn't that enough?" And they're talking about like raising him and how it was very tough to carry him with his big stupid blue feet. And all that.
I don't. His feet are white, by the way. I don't think
they
we
are?
had.
Wait, Kurt's feet are white?
Yeah,
What?
like colored white, like not like flesh colored, but like white.
Okay. If you say so.
But I don't think we had it revealed at this point because the Draco is like 5 years later. Terrible storyline. We won't do for the main feed of the podcast, but maybe for an April Fool's.
I think I've read that one actually. You're right. That's bad.
Yeah, that's her Nightcrawler's father is a demon who can't escape hell. So to get out, he goes and has sex with Mystique, and then his son, he'll be able to possess him. You see if you can figure out the flaw in the logic of how this works.
I'm not even gonna.
He left hell to have sex with Mystique, but I guess he was like, no, I can't keep doing this.
So Kurt is asking his mom now, "Hey mom, why don't you ever want to go to Avalon?" And she's like, "What are you talking about? I take people to Avalon all the time." And he's like, no, not just like taking people there, like actually going there yourself." And she's just dodging the question. So Nightcrawler slaps her, and he accuses her of fleecing all the refugees and taking all their money. And that's why. And she's like, she basically confirms, like, yeah, I'm taking everybody's money who's on Avalon, so that's why I won't go there because she's a.
No, I mean,
No?
This is a great scene, and then maybe this went over your head, Kia.
Maybe it did. Maybe I was already done with this book.
But Mystique and Destiny are a couple. They are a gay couple that they weren't allowed to say at the time. So in Age of Apocalypse, they're clearly like broken up, and she's like, "I won't go there. I won't say why." And Nightcrawler thinks it's because she's like guilty, but it's like, no, it's because she doesn't want to see Destiny.
I had no idea. There's none of that in this book. Come on, book. Okay.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think it's a little too subtextual because, like, how would you know that Destiny and Mystique were like a couple? I mean, they were in the comics. I mean, Chris Claremont always like played it like they were like good friends who knew each other for a million years and raised a daughter together, like you do with your best friend.
Right.
But
oh man.
But yeah, if you don't know that, it's kind of unclear, like what she's like. Why doesn't she just want to go?
So anyways, they do finally head there together on the boat. Mystique wears her cloak and she's calling herself the fairy woman of the infernal gallop. They meet Kane at the shore, Juggernaut, and they start heading in. And it's so beautiful that Mystique loves it, and she's like, "Oh my goodness." They meet Destiny, whose real name is Irene, and this is why Mystique was just like, "Oh, she has a son now? What?" But it's an adopted son.
It's Doug Ramsey.
Doug Ramsey. Who's Doug Ramsey?
He is the guy. He's Kitty's sort of boyfriend in New Mutants, and then he dies. And then Doug Locke. He gets possessed by techno-organic warlock alien. Again, if you watch the X-Men cartoon, all of this will be explained.
Great.
But yeah, then Douglock is basically his brain gets combined with a alien body, so he's also dead in the regular Marvel timeline at this point.
Okay. So he is just a nice boy. That's really all he is. He's just a nice boy. Then Irene and Mystique are talking, and Mystique's like, "Yeah, we want you to come with us." And Irene just kind of walks away. Then they all head back to like the main village. Irene introduces Mystique to Switchback and says, "Hey, I read this girl's future, and I saw that everyone here is going to die. So, I'm not going to come with you, because if I do, then maybe that's what triggers the whole place dying." Then Wade and Damask also show up at Avalon, and Wade is ready to kill everybody because he loves killing, and he thinks that's what's best for everybody. I think later on there's a panel while he's fighting where he's like, "I'm not a bad guy. I just want everybody to die." Damask has a big change of heart here because she is like, "Wow, I had no idea the world could all be so beautiful." And I guess that's all it takes for her to really start changing her mind here.
I mean, she does live like in a city full of skeletons and corpses everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's fair. Just seeing beauty in the world is like, oh, sometimes that's enough. Sometimes nature heals.
I mean, clearly she's not a true New Yorker because, she'd be like, best city on earth. The flaming rats are great. We love it here. The water... all the corpses in the water make the pizza dough slightly better.
It's true. Then. So then Mystique is still trying to convince Irene. Says, "Hey, Magneto has found someone who came from a different timeline, and we really need you to come like see his future so you can confirm it, all that kind of stuff."
How does that work?
I don't know, actually. But does Destiny have more powers than that? Than just seeing the future?
She has precog power, so I guess she's going to like verify his story. I mean, Magneto knows Bishop's telling the truth. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing all this.
But it's the opposite. We need to confirm his past, not his future.
Yeah.
Confirmations of future past.
I checked his future. Fun fact: he dies in our universe. Like, okay,
great, awesome.
And even if it did prove it, like in the age of disinformation that we have, half of the people be like, who can trust Destiny? Like,
you're just paying her to say that,
right?
Who knows? I didn't even question that. Of all the things I've been questioning in the book, I didn't question that one until just now.
But at the same time, it's a really clean mission. It's like, we need to find this person to confirm Magneto's story about Bishop, and then they'll be proved. And it, like 10, 12-year-old me is like, sure, this sounds great. Cool. Even me now in my late 30s, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Okay, cool.
It's fine. I'm not that bothered by it. So they then they get attacked by a rocket. Wade fires a rocket. Juggernaut is standing there, and Nightcrawler's like, "What the hell you doing, man? Go fight them." And
this is my favorite part.
And Juggernaut is like, he's just like thinking real hard. And eventually he has a brain aneurysm and just like topples over because he is so committed to peace, but also so incredibly lusting for violence. Yeah, cool.
I love it. It's so good. It's Warren Ellis. You've done it again. That's such a great scene.
Good job, Warren Ellis. Damask then has a change of heart and does not want to help Wade attack. Instead, she attacks Wade. And, Wade's got his healing factor, of course. So he's like, he keeps on, he's still fine. Until Kurt shows up and bamfs his head away. And he takes it to a crater somewhere. I hope we get an epilogue at some point in X-Men Omega where Wade's head has regrown a body and he's just stranded somewhere.
Why didn't we do this to Dracula in the past episodes?
Why? Well, we didn't have Nightcrawler to bam.
Yeah, Nightcrawler wasn't this hardcore in a regular Marvel universe.
Okay. Was he hanging out at Misty Knight's house?
Yes,
He was there. He was one of the people who didn't take a hint and never left.
Oh wait, you're right. He was yeah, the X-Men issue. So I was thinking back to the old Dracula episodes, but you're right. Nightcrawler was kind of hanging out.
He
in
was
those
flirting
issues.
though with Misty Knight's roommate, though. I think.
Yeah. Because Wolverine was like, "Don't worry, I'll cut his head off," and then like the castle fell over and they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Age of Apocalypse Nightcrawler would have just teleported everybody's head off, like no problem.
Yeah, like also that's Age of Apocalypse Nightcrawler, right? 616 Nightcrawler is not all about bamfing people's heads away.
Age of Apocalypse does not have a vampire problem at all.
Yeah.
It was also foreshadowed. My quote was when Proudstar was like pointing a finger and like saying like your mother's a piece of shit. He teleported his finger off of his hand.
He did?
Crazy. Yeah.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, that's what he says, rude to point, and then you just see Proudstar just holding his hand, like blood coming out of it.
Damn, Kurt, you're cold, man.
Yeah, he's a badass. Nightcrawler, like 10-year-old me was like, man, this guy's cool.
So then they talk about how like somebody sees a bullet casing or something, and they talk about the bullet casings, and it's like, well, hey, why is an X on this? What's the caliber? It's like, oh, it's 44 caliber. I just put an X on them because I thought it'd be cool or something. I'm like, okay. Did they name the team here?
Yes.
No,
and the next issue, Switchback's like, me and X-Calibre were thinking. I'm like, well, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they didn't. Okay, so that's what I was like. Did I miss something where they named the team at this moment? No. Later on, Switchback is telling Doug about this whole thing, and they're like, yeah, so that's what we're all about here in Excalibur. And Doug's like, Excalibur? And it's like, yeah, it was Kurt's idea. He got it from some bullets. It's like, well, could you have just put it in that last issue right when it happened? Could you have showed us that?
No.
Whatever. So Excalibur, the main team of Excalibur is Nightcrawler, Mystique, Damask, and Switchback. Cool. We finally learned Switchback's power, which is that she can go back down her own timeline to 10 seconds ago. And this is useful for fixing headaches, apparently.
Well,
and
we'll
I
find
don't know
out
what
why.
else.
We'll find out why.
Do we find out why?
Yes, actually we do. Yeah, we do actually.
I was
yeah,
so
we'll get to
over
that.
this book. All right.
Switchback.
Yeah.
A interesting name. The power I like. I kind of like the name with it too because it's like a switchback, which I don't think we have. At least I've never seen in Texas, where you're going downhill and you kind of like slowly go downhill by cutting back and forth. A switchback, so you're kind of going backwards. It's clever.
Yeah.
It's stupid, but it's clever.
It's definitely like an imagey power where it's just like by itself, it doesn't seem that cool. If you have like a bunch of guns or like something and that'll go back in 10 seconds, like the combat applications kind of useful. The like superhero applications kind of limited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Mystique is like, hey, what did you do? When she explains the power, it's like, I don't like that, and you better warn me about it next time. Then the Shadow King shows up. This was the secret person who was on board with Damask and Wade and all them.
Yeah, I know this guy. He was on the Legion TV show.
Yeah,
he was. That's where I would recognize him from. I was like, wait a minute, have I read this guy in something? And I realized, they did a pretty good job of making him look like this character from the comics.
Yeah, I'd never heard of Shadow King, Farouk, or whoever until I saw Legion, because Legion like had some weird cuts of who they used and stuff, and I was like, and then I see him here, and I'm like, oh, it's Aubrey Plaza, cool.
Aubrey Plaza, wow. I gotta watch Legion.
She's good in it. So the Shadow King shows up and jumps inside of Wendy's body. I don't know who Wendy is. But she's a bolt-throwing electrical mutant, apparently, and Shadow King has been sent by Apocalypse to finish the job of destroying Avalon. And then he jumps into everybody's mind at the village and starts breaking them and making them all attack each other and be evil and bad.
And see, this is why I thought he had possessed Damask to kill Danny for no reason.
But that, no. I mean, this is
Danny just killed her or she killed Danny for no reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Danny was a psychopath, so she just killed her.
Okay.
Yep. Destiny, Irene doesn't know what to do. She realizes Avalon is pretty much lost at this point, and this is the whole, story, the future coming to pass. Damask tries to kill the Shadow King while it's inside some guy's mind, some guy named Marcus, I think, tries to kill the Shadow King inside that person's mind, but then she accidentally kills the guy instead and kills Marcus. I'm like, I think Mystique's going to be mad at me. Nightcrawler is also trying to talk to everybody, and they kind of have this big realization of like, hey, there's no such thing as a safe haven in this world. The real world is just going to catch up to y'all eventually. And then the Shadow King takes over Mystique, and it's like, oh, hey, this person's a shapeshifter, and it turns into Sabretooth. And this was the first time Mystique shapeshifted in 4 issues, and it wasn't even really Mystique doing it. The other three.
I thought for sure in the 2nd or 3rd issue when Apocalypse like gets on the mic and talks to, he's like, your mission has changed, blah blah blah. I thought that it was going to be Mystique because it would make so much sense. You have a shapeshifter who could impersonate Apocalypse and tell them their mission has changed. But no, it was Apocalypse. He's just like, no, I changed my mind, kill everyone.
Yeah.
So you just said that like Shadow King jumped into Mystique's like, I'm a shapeshifter. Can you tell when you jump into like a mutant and be like, I know what powers they have? I feel like I wouldn't know. Like if I went into somebody else's body, maybe I don't have good body awareness.
I mean, you're not the Shadow King.
Yeah, he I guess knows that they have powers.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
he's reading their like character sheet. He can see all their stats.
Yeah, that's how it is.
It would be like me jumping into a mech or something and be like, okay, what fucking weapons does this thing have? Okay, rocket launchers, got it. That's how
exactly. There's a big button labeled rocket launcher.
Or shapeshifting,
like,
cool.
Oh.
Not eye lasers in this one. Okay, got it.
So the other 3, this is okay. If you are telling me that this is where they explained how Switchback's power is useful, I'm gonna need that explained because Kurt and Damask and Switchback do like a BAMF together plus using Switchback's power, and that's how they kill the Shadow King.
Yeah, how the hell did that work?
I don't know. I don't know what happened here, but it did.
He's like, I'm for like a fraction of a second, I go into another dimension, so maybe Shadow King is there. Okay, that's kind of a reach, but that's Star Trek logic.
Sure.
But then they're like, her power is to go back in time 10 seconds. So it's like when we're in the other dimension, you're going to do that and we're going to go back in time 10 seconds, but you're still going to be, I guess, because it's like she's like literally like walking back, like Vince was describing. So she's still in her body where she was. But I'm like, what?
I don't know how any of that has to do with
her.
killing the
clothes
Shadow
go
King.
with her, but the Shadow King not in her head doesn't go with her or something, or
yeah, I don't quite understand because it's not just she's jumping back in time 10 seconds, which that would be pretty easy to explain. But then she couldn't stay in the dimension; she would just go back to where she was 10 seconds ago. But
it's not like
somehow,
a reset or something. Yeah, there's
somehow she's able to like walk backwards through time or whatever and extend everybody's time in the demon dimension or whatever that he teleports through, and then they can kill him somehow. I guess Damask has the power to kill him, so that at least makes sense.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, and her headache, and now I can't find the words because there's a lot. But she felt a headache, and so she knew Shadow King was in her head, and so before Shadow King could like fully take over, she jumped back in time 10 seconds, which like
she didn't fully understand what was happening, but yeah, that's why she did it.
Okay. But then why wouldn't Shadow King just
do it again?
Like, why did Shadow King stop? How does he know that they're in a different timeline now?
I mean, because he tried to possess her, and he's like, that's weird. Usually when I possess people, I succeed, and then they don't just stop existing where they were.
But you would think he'd be in a loop but keep trying to take over?
But that was in a different timeline because we just reset things by going 10 seconds. And it's not like Shadow... I don't know.
Maybe Shadow King, I guess, he transcends these kind of things, so he keeps moving forward, but they get younger or something. I don't know.
I keep moving forward, and they just
she keeps going back in time.
All right, so we then get the finale of this issue where Shadow King's not fully dead. He's got one last blast aimed at Destiny, and Doug jumps in front and takes the bullet, and he dies. Oh, wow, so sad.
I wonder if Warren Ellis, because he keeps killing characters who are dead in the mainline Marvel universe. Is this like supposed to be a commentary? Because that's Thunderbird and Douglock and who else? There's a couple others where I guess other Deadpool's not dead in the real Marvel universe. But he just keeps killing out characters. Where I was like, yeah, we don't really like that guy, so bye.
Might as well. Yeah, I really did not like these at all. I mean, the plot is nice. I kind of like how it fits into the overall world of the Age of Apocalypse. I really like that aspect of it, and I think like judging it as part of like the whole event is cool. But on its own, man, I hated reading these. I thought they were real bad. I'm sorry. What did y'all think, though? Vince, you said you loved it.
I didn't love it. I thought it was very well focused because, again, I don't like team books, and I knew who like my characters were. I thought they were clearly written, aside from that one issue where things were clearly not well written.
I think that's more communication with the artist than not being well written.
I literally thought that Kurt witnessed the death of 2 refugee boats. Like this is
again, that's just the art through that in a way where you're like, what are you looking at?
Yeah. So, but other than that, I thought it was pretty clear. It's the kind of stories I'm like, okay, this is fine. I'm liking. I think in the aggregate, all these Age of Apocalypse stories are not really covering the same ground the way I feel like a lot of Marvel events cover the same ground. Before I stopped reading Marvel events, so especially Civil War is like, oh, we all hate Tony Stark, and then we all hated Tony Stark in the entire Marvel universe for a month. So I'm liking that these are like different stories. This is radically different than like Factor X. So I'm happy in that way too. I want to read more.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, well, good. There's more.
I'm sure we will. Chris, how did you feel about this?
This is the least of the Age of Apocalypse stuff we've done. I don't hate it. I like it better than, sort of the average book because I do feel like there's stakes, there's a clear plot, it's moving stuff forward. Nightcrawler is, like I said, 10-year-old me is like, so cool. He kills people.
You're right. I did really like Nightcrawler in this. I shouldn't be so hard on the book. And the visuals of Mystique were great. There is stuff to like in this. I'm being too hard on it.
Yeah. Is it like a top tier even X title at this time? No, it clearly isn't. Like they immediately are on fill-in artists on this one, whereas I think Factor X had one fill-in. And had Steve Epting, who's great. Obviously, he wasn't quite as good in 1994 or 5, but he's still really good then. I think it was just bad colorists a lot of the time, or inkers. But yeah, this is Roger Cruz was not good. But I like the series overall. I liked that there's an added layer of like, oh, that's the Juggernaut that I don't know that like casual readers would care about. But it's like if you're reading this, the cartoon is on. Like you should kind of know who the X-Men characters are. Mm-hmm. You don't have to know like who Destiny is. It's not required. I mean, I was able to explain the subtext to you because it was a little probably too deep for. It was definitely too deep for 10-year-old me to know what was going on. But I got to feel very smart because that's the other thing is Destiny in the mainline Marvel universe had just died like 2 or 3 years earlier. And there's a really good Peter David, I think it's in an annual or something like that, where Mystique goes, like her last request is to throw her ashes off some boat. And Mystique's like, that's random. And then goes out there. Random's actually a different X-Men character, but she goes out there and throws her ashes out at the time that Destiny says, and then the wind's reverse directions, so her ashes hit Mystique right in the face. And so it was all just a joke to play on her friend, and like Mystique cries about it, and it's a very like sweet scene. It's like one of Peter David's like better early '90s things. So that was fresh in my mind. So I was like, oh yeah, this is cool.
That's cool. It's cool. Yeah, I probably would have enjoyed this a lot more if I'd had that bit of backstory with Mystique and Destiny. But what can you do? They're just not allowed to tell us that people are lesbians back then.
No, back then it was a secret that you had to like learn from the internet.
Yep. But I think we are ready to get on to some Batman stuff. Yeah. Anything else to say about Age of Apocalypse?
No.
I think Apocalypse is bad, and they should get rid of him.
They should get rid of him. They should dance until he goes away. So we're starting our next long read now. We are going to be doing Knightfall, The Broken Bat. And Knightfall is very famously a very, very, very long event, all about Bane showing up and breaking Batman's back and what all happens after that. We're not reading everything. It would be way too much. So we are just starting with a little one-shot called Batman: Vengeance of Bane. Which just introduces Bane. And then we're going to jump into the kind of main Knightfall, the Broken Bats section. So we'll talk about those issues specifically after this. But, so I mentioned Batman Vengeance of Bane was a one-shot, but apparently there's 2 issues. Is this like a X-Men Alpha and Omega thing?
It's the other issue's from like 95. This one's from 92.
Yeah, it's basically unrelated. It's after everything happens. After I think Contagion, which we're obviously not going to read because we're not even reading all of Knightfall, to follow up on Bane's story. So we do not need to read that.
Yeah, they're 3 years apart, and it's called like 2: The Redemption. So I don't know. This is fucking wild though, because like this is like when we try to like string together comics. Like, you got to read this, but do not read issue 2 that takes place 3 years later. Go read this other event.
Well, they didn't realize there would be a streaming service 25 years later that would easily collect it all.
Yeah, who could have predicted? So this is written by Destiny could have predicted it. You're right. It was written by Chuck Dixon. I feel like we've read a lot of Chuck Dixon for this podcast.
I can't remember Chuck Austin's worse. Is that right?
Yeah. Chuck Austin's a terrible writer.
Bad.
Chuck Dixon.
I think he did that Nightcrawler stuff you were talking about with the
Chuck Dixon is pretty decent, I think, for this era. He read my first comic I ever had, Robin 2, Joker's Wild. That my aunt bought for me because she worked on the hologram covers.
Nice. I didn't know that. He wrote a lot of the early Robin appearances and was writing, I think, Detective Comics at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he created Tim Drake, right?
I think
which is what Robin 2 is, because there were like 3 Robin miniseries, Robin 2, Joker's Wild. And to be fair, like it was just like a tiny hologram square like on the issue, and she worked on that. So
cool.
Still cool.
Yeah.
Written by Chuck Dixon, art by Graham Nolan, and inked by Eduardo Barreto.
We'll see Graham Nolan later in Knightfall, by the way.
Okay. And this cover, again, a beautiful painted cover. I forgot to look up who did this, but it looked really nice.
Glenn Fabry. Is he the Preacher cover artist? Just off the top of my head?
I think you're right. It looks very similar to those Preacher covers with the style of it.
Yeah, it says G. Fabry. I think it's Glenn Fabry. Okay.
Yeah, I did not know how long this thing was going to be. It's called a 64-page special, but there's some ads in here.
Yeah, it's only 50 some pages, but it also reads pretty quickly.
It's also like 3 panels per page, 2 lines per panel kind of thing.
Yeah. So we start with a little bit of a prologue about how this baby was sentenced to a prison in Cuba to pay for the sins of their
Prisca,
father.
not Cuba.
Oh, sorry. I thought they said they were in Cuba. No?
No. They said they had a revolution after Cuba that failed.
Oh, I missed that. Okay. The name of this prison is Peñaduro, I believe. And the narrator for this whole thing is a guy named Zombie who works at this prison. He was assigned to one of the doctors there, and he was there for 30 years watching everything. And he saw this baby's mom with her. And the baby's mom died at the age of 6, and
I like that Bane has an evil bat family where this is his Alfred is this guy Zombie.
Yeah. Well, boy, we'll get to his whole Bane family, I guess. But this baby grew up and saw the evils of this prison.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm on board.
I was on board for sure.
Well, I was gonna say we all saw a pretty big movie that did just summarize this in a 30-second monologue.
I was bored of the darkness, the stuff that we make fun of, we meme, but
it's still rad.
I instantly.
Wow, James Adomian.
Yeah. But
welcome to the show.
I got to return this pasta maker. But But anyway, I like from get go. I'm like, oh, this is sad. This poor baby.
It's real sad.
It was born in prison, and because he has to serve his father's sentence, he's gonna spend a life sentence in prison. That's so sad. From like
Who would
page
sentence
one,
a baby to jail? Come on.
for the sins of the father. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
This is their custom, but I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
already like. So you get to see like little baby Bane, and then like little kid Bane, and he's not like fucked up. Like I always thought like, oh, he was born in the darkness. He was like messed up from the beginning or something. No, he was.
Nah, he looks normal.
Yeah, he seems okay for a while. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
also why, because I recently replayed Batman Arkham City. Like there's so much stuffed bear motif. I was like, what is all this? I'm like, oh, it's just from this issue.
I see.
Because he does have a stuffed teddy bear
He
that he
does,
like
he
carries
does.
around until the end of the issue.
So clearly some people thought like this is fucked up, right? We got to give this kid a bear, like some type of stuffed animal. Like somebody at the
He
prison
needs
like
something.
this. Somebody at this prison like this is fucked up.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, okay, we'll get to the scene with the bear later. We have so this kid is 6 years old and his mom dies. So of course they throw mom into the water to be fed to sharks, and they move the little kid to Gen Pop now. He's in the general population of the prison now that mom's dead because nobody else is going to take care of him.
Truly
Whoa,
insane.
what?
I
What?
do love this scene is like straight out of the Count of Monte Cristo, which is a great book, and it's been turned into great movies. And it's just like, let's just steal this. It's cool.
I saw Count of Monte Cristo with Jim Caviezel and
Yep.
Guy Pearce puts a great performance on it, and a baby Henry Cavill is in it.
Yeah.
I have neither read nor seen The Count of Monte Cristo. I've eaten a
It's-
Monte Cristo.
It's a great sandwich, great novel.
I think
recommend
I
them
was
both.
I was at a theater conference in high school. I don't know what year the movie came out. Kia, you may have already graduated, but we had the option to go see Mothman Prophecies or
I was there. I saw Mothman Prophecies,
Oh,
and
wow.
I do not regret my decision. I had a fun time with that movie. It
Wow.
was shit. It was shit, but I loved it.
that was our options. Count of Monte Cristo
It was
or Mothman
fun
Prophecies.
shit.
Wow. I mean, I understand the urge to watch garbage, but anyway, so that adaptation,
Your stupid
that
mind.
adaptation
Just
is
hit
pretty good.
episode
But anyway,
201.
yeah, it's from the book. He's in the Chateau d'If. They throw. I mean, this is how he escapes. Is Bane basically steals. He must have read it in a book. But yeah, they send him into general population, where right away it's just like, oh no.
Yeah, this creep is like, hey, little boy, you want to be my friend? Oh, boy.
Shirtless fat guy.
With like a chain from his nose to his ear.
Ugh.
And the creepiest fucking smile on his face. I hate this guy. And then another creepy looking guy named Trog.
With 2 Gs.
Trog with 2 Gs. He looks like Tommy Lee Jones in a wide funhouse mirror. That's what I wrote.
He looks like a dwarf from Lord of the Rings. Like he doesn't look human.
No,
He does
not
have
at
like
all.
Pip the Troll like arms.
Yeah. I don't know who this guy is, but he shows up and he punches out this Puerco
pedophile
is the
guy,
fat
yeah.
guy's name. Yeah.
Mhm.
During this fight, Bane gets knocked off of the railing and he falls down. He's bleeding on the ground. Apparently he's in a coma for 31 days here, but during this time he like sees a vision of the future. He sees the light, and that's like himself from the future, telling him that he's going to be like important and strong, and he's got important blood in him, and the only thing holding you back is fear. And I
Here's the
liked how
mind killer.
yeah, I like how in this little bit the bear is like walking towards the light. I like that quite a bit. It was just like, oh, so this is definitely not real, but it did a nice job of just like setting it up for me. Well done visual storytelling.
Yeah, I do like that just like breaks his brain and he just wakes up like a sociopath immediately.
He is from this point forward, he is a badass. He goes back to the pedophile and he does he straight up kill him or just like rips out his nose thing?
ring.
Yeah.
It seems like they kill him because the guards show up and they're like, well, we know who did it. The kid covered in blood.
Yeah, like holding a knife. Yeah. The warden says he's an abomination. He's a bane to everything holy. and that's how he got his name.
The Abomination.
No, not that name, the other one. And they put him in solitary confinement with a bunch of crabs and rats. And he had to learn to catch the rats for food. And the cell is under the water level, and so like every night it would flood as well. And
when the
he
tide
just has
comes
to
in.
yeah, when the tide comes in, and he just has to like hold on to the grates at the top. What the fuck? What kind of a jail cell is this, man?
Well, and then I worry about like, well, what happens if it rains like a real bad like hurricane or something? Then it's gonna just like the tide's not gonna be able to recede, or it's gonna flood above the little grate so he can breathe. And then I'm like, this is way too fucking elaborate to keep a prisoner alive. I mean, like, I'm not an advocate for the death penalty, but like this. Why is this guy in this kind of prison? Like, either don't put him here or kill him. Like, this seems like a lot of work to make sure this guy is still alive in this prison.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
it's a total screw up by the guy running the prison, because then when he lets him out, he's just like, well, great, now everyone loves him. Now he's Cool Hand Luke all of a sudden.
He's a hero, and we taught him how to swim. Oh my god. So he also hunted fish. And he meditated, and he dreamed of fighting space bats, I think, right? Okay.
It is funny that, like, he's like, fear. I have to defeat fear. What's the scariest thing? Bats.
Bats in space. So he's in this solitary confinement for 10 years. So this scene, I don't know where this came from. At some point, he's got a bird, and then he gets like a note, and it's got a picture of a bird, and it says the word bird on it, but he can't read, so it doesn't mean anything to him. I don't know where this note came from. I guess, did the bird bring it?
Yeah, the bird gave it to him.
The bird brought a note that said bird?
That's
I'm
right.
a bird.
I'm a bird.
And
what a weird fucking note. Okay.
It was it was trivia. Who directed The Incredibles?
Okay, great.
And in this country, I guess they speak English. We've established.
That is one of the sillier parts is when they say like a Spanish word, and it'll just be like "la puta madre," where like then they'll go back to speaking English. We're like, wait, are you regularly speaking English?
Yeah. What's going on here? So he gets released back to Gen Pop, and he's a legend now. Everybody loves him. His cellmate is a dude named Bird, who has a bird with him the whole time. And also, he's a jailhouse lawyer. Well, wow, that's very convenient. But actually not at all, because they're still stuck in jail here. So, okay. This guy's
if we
like
all went to
really,
prison, we would rely on Chris.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. That's definitely true.
I do want to know how this white guy ended up here. Like, he's very clearly like just a blonde white dude who's a lawyer who's got a bird with him at all times.
Got like an 80s mullet too.
Yeah, he does say like I got involved with this Gotham gang thing. So it seems like he was like doing a drug deal or something sketchy that led him to this country where he got screwed over.
Were they all extradited back to this country, or
maybe they got caught there?
Because maybe he was on like a plane or something, because he's not from whatever country they're.
Right. Yeah, he's from Gotham. It seems because But yeah, it's like
they do talk about that later. Yeah.
Here's his Robin. Here he is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, which is a bird. Holy shit. Okay, wow. I did not pick up on that. How about that?
He has
Chuck
a little
Dixon,
sidekick.
you got me again. He's just creating Robins left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So we then you see Bane is like growing and changing. He becomes addicted to books. He loves to like just learn more about the world. He's doing like death fights in like a fighting ring of some sort. And after successfully killing somebody, he says, "Bird, tell me more about this Gotham City." and he's like, "Oh, it's a beautiful place. Everything's available. You can buy anything you want." And like, "Tell me, Bird, who rules this city?" "Well, I guess that'd be Batman." And he goes, "I must kill this Batman." Great.
This seemed like a quick snap. I did not get this jump to logic that he's like, I have to get. I not only do I want to go to this Gotham place, I want to rule this Gotham place, and therefore I must murder its current leader. seems.
I agree with you, but also I think the caption explained it pretty well. That just like not knowing who Batman is, you just hear the name Batman, and like this guy is clearly insane. He's been dreaming of fighting space bats, and he goes, you know what? Now you got my attention. I love fighting space bats, so whoever this Batman is, I'm gonna kill him.
That seems legit, though. That's
makes
true.
sense.
He would be very disappointed if it was like a bat, like a baseball bat, man.
Ooh, that'd be real bad.
He didn't ask clarifying questions.
Just in pinstripes.
Yep. The batting gentleman.
Yep. Hey, for all we know, maybe that's what he was really dreaming of, fighting baseball bats in space, and the artist got it wrong.
Because I think there's like a Nintendo game called Ninja Batman, which is about a baseball player that's a ninja, not Ninja Batman.
Not Ninja Batman. Okay, makes sense.
So here's a question. Do you think Bane told Bird or Zombie or anyone all of the crazy shit that's like going on in his life? Or is he like, did he read somewhere like, no, you shouldn't say any of this stuff? Or did like his Paragon self?
We'll get to it. I don't know how Zombie knows a lot of stuff that he knows. So he had
must
to
have
have
told Zombie.
He must have told Zombie. Because
that's a really funny conversation. I know it's just like a very obvious like Harley Quinn style joke to just like having a character recount something very unlikely, but it's like, man, that must have been a weird talk.
Yeah,
they're very bored. They're very bored.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, when I was in solitary, I would meditate for about 4 hours. Mostly, I would be dream fighting a bat. So that's kind of how I would get through the day. You're like, okay.
Yep, got it. Taking notes for later when I write your
publish
memoir.
my novel.
Yep.
But I do love that Bird like is immediately like, oh, you're the guy. Like I'm betting all in on this guy getting me out of here.
Hey, it worked. It worked. So this prison is creating like a super soldier serum, and they use Bane because he's killed like 30 people, and they're like, yeah, he'll just be another dead body if he fails like everybody else, or we'll succeed. And they inject him with this stuff called venom. And our narrator friend, Zombie, who's really been like not around since Mom died at all in this issue, he steals a sample of the venom while it's happening. And this page is the one where I just kept writing how after every sentence, where it says Zombie knew he had to replicate the venom so that Bane could transcend to his ultimate form. It would fuse the left and right side of his brain. How?
Well, he had never seen any combination so complex, but easily copied.
That's right.
And then when they're giving more of this stuff to Bane, Bane whispers his plan to Zombie. And I really could have used a scene of just like, sure, we're friends. Just establish that they're friends. That's all I needed. That's really all I needed. But Bane whispers his plan to Zombie. Bane is going to lower his vital signs. He can control them because he's that good. And he's going to pretend to be dead. Then they're going to throw him in the ocean, and he'll be free. Is that what they do when you order a Monte Cristo sandwich? Is that the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean,
that's right. They cover your corpse in powdered sugar.
Oh, yeah, man, Monte Cristo's Bennigan's Monte Cristo. Oh my god! In the time before they put calorie counts on sandwiches, it was like a club sandwich, and then they like put like fried chicken breading around it, and then they covered it in powdered sugar like a fucking funnel cake, and then they gave you jelly to dip it in. It was so good. It was so good. And I think they gave you like 2 whole sandwiches of it, or maybe there were definitely like 4 different pieces. Was it like 2?
I don't know. It was a lot of food.
I was a heavy boy in middle school, and I ate a lot of Monte Cristos at Old Bennigan's.
Hell yeah.
I bet that was
so.
Yeah. What a time! What a time to be alive. I'm gonna look up Bennigan's.
They're gone.
Y'all keep going.
I think Bennigan's has been shut down.
It got replaced by the Tilted Kilt up here, and the Tilted Kilt is now gone too. So
great. You should have kept the Monte Cristo. So he gets thrown in the water. His whole plan succeeds. He shows up again at the prison at night to kill the warden.
Murders the sharks that killed his mother.
Oh, you're right. He murders the sharks. He does not kill the warden. He does not kill the warden.
Not yet.
He uses the warden he does like a negotiation, like a hostage thing, and they deliver a helicopter, which they demanded, and they escape through the helicopter, and they take the warden with them, and then they throw the warden out of the helicopter. Cool.
Yeah. Well, and that's when he hands him the teddy bear, and he's like, "You won't be going alone."
Oh yes.
Which I just imagine is like an Arnold Schwarzenegger line because it's so silly.
No, it's you won't be going alone. So that's essentially like the end of part 1. Now the whole story kind of changes very much, and it's Bird, Trog, Zombie, and Bane, everyone's favorite 4 friends. They go to New York City. They get fake IDs thanks to Bird. Zombie makes him a headpiece, which is the Bane mask, and they're going to use that to keep on letting him inject the venom into himself. And he can control it himself as well. It's great. Bane attacks some guy named No Nose. What's this guy's name? Jimmy No Nose Novak. And I don't know what he's got on his nose in place of no nose. It's like a wood, like little attachment that just goes where his nose should be.
Look, guys, it's really gross underneath here. I'm gonna cover this with this other weird thing, but trust me, it's better than whatever's under here.
That's Gotham City for you.
Has this guy been in like anything else?
I don't think so.
It sounds familiar, but I think I might be conflating him with either some other Batman mobster or a Dick Tracy character.
It definitely, I get the like a Dick Tracy feel from it, and also that there's like, I don't know, this book is so serious, and then here it's like, wait a minute, what is going on here?
But that's the Christopher Nolan Batverse too, where like just like, and then there's Eric Roberts just there like being weird.
Well, hold on, let's get all right. Well, let's keep going.
I just love the endless cavalcade of mobsters in Gotham that have just been like killed throughout the history of Batman comics.
So Bane shows up and attacks his whole crew because apparently this guy double-crossed Bird in the past. Oh, is this what got Bird imprisoned? Working with this guy?
It, yeah.
Must be. Okay. So him and his crew basically all get murdered. The cops show up to check out all these dead, mutilated bodies, and they're like, oh, who is this? Friends of the show, Montoya and Harvey Bullock are there.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah. And they tell Commissioner Gordon. Commissioner Gordon tells Batman about it. Batman is on the case, and Bane is on Batman's case. Bane is following Batman.
I like that he's just like 50 feet behind Batman. They're like, there he is. Let's just kill him now.
Well, I don't know why he doesn't.
He says why. It didn't really hold water for me. He's like, I must learn about the bat.
It's so hard to imagine that sound coming out of this Bane's voice. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But
they put a luchador mask on him. Did we?
Yeah.
They should have put a luchador mask on the movie. Oh, that would have been so much better. They should have just, man, the Dark Knight Rises or whichever one it was, it should have just been a lucha movie. Just forget the comics, make it wrestling.
2/3 of the way through, and then he's just got the weird little mask thing, and it's not quite as good.
So this is the scene that really threw me. Batman goes and attacks some random mobsters, which include Larry, Moe, and Curly, the Three Stooges. What the hell was this?
It's the whatever brothers too, so they're really
what
the fuck?
Very
Graham
bizarre.
Nolan, you
it
crazy.
Also, and this is unrelated to this issue, but it really bothers me that of the Three Stooges, the one named Curly is not the one with curly hair. What the fuck?
We're gonna get to some funny names in Knightfall. Just you wait. There's gonna be a certain doctor who will be introduced to with a ridiculous name.
I'm excited. Can't wait.
Is it a strange name? Is it Doctor Strange?
No, it's not Doctor. I don't want to spoil it. It's so painfully like 1992, 1993. I don't want to say it.
Gosh.
Got to get into the headspace of the early 90s.
Okay, I'll remember.
Dr. LL Cool J.
Doctor's Lady Love Cool J.
So this place where Batman is fighting all these mobsters, apparently it's like all these mobsters are like working out and hanging out, but it's like a half-finished building or something, because one guy is like falling off of the floor?
Yeah, they're in a warehouse with a like workout equipment, I guess. And Commissioner Gordon is like, yeah, they work for the No-Nos guy, so they might be connected, but I can't get a warrant for that. And Batman's like, that's all I need to hear.
Yeah, but before Gordon's finished speaking, Batman's out and on the way here.
There's some burly goons I can punch in the face. Let's go.
Yeah. So Bane confronts Batman and says, and like realize he's not, like Batman's not going to kill anyone. He saved this guy from falling. And he's like, you don't break the sixth commandment. And he gives, that's kind of a weird reference point, but he did do a lot of reading.
Too. I don't know what books he's reading. I guess the Jewish tradition is "Thou shalt not kill" as the sixth commandment, but the Catholic tradition it would be the fifth. So apparently he's not reading Christian books, or if he is, he's reading Protestant books.
Yeah, because I was raised Catholic, and our commandments are not in the same order. And I think two of them are blended. I think between the Bibles that I had and some of a different Bible I saw. So.
Yeah. If he was raised Catholic, it would be the Fifth Amendment. So clearly Santa Prisca prison not giving them Catholic literature.
I think it's just whatever they had available.
I think it's probably Chuck D doing the monocle of research.
This
is where I'm going to start. I'm not a good Catholic. I'm like, Chuck D is a dirty Protestant. That's not true.
It could just be that he read, a Jewish book and used their numbering, which I guess that's where the Protestants got their numbers from, is they went back and didn't like the Catholics' way of counting, the lousy Pope.
So Bane sees this, and Bane is like, all right, I'm going to give you a warning, Batman. I'm going to be the one to kill you. And Batman's like, I hear that threat constantly. No big deal. And so I guess they just leave. Bane kills all of these mobsters here except for one, so that when the police show up and they're like, whoa, who killed all these people? And the guy wakes up and goes, oh, it was Batman. And Montoya's like, wow, Batman's finally lost his mind. But Bullock is like, I don't know, that's not Batman's style. And Bane and his family are like hanging out, and they're like, yeah, we're going to take over. We're going to kill Batman. Cool. And I'm going to keep studying him, and then Gotham will be mine.
Gotham will be mine.
And then there's like an end with a question mark. And it's very clearly not the end of anything here, so I don't know why they... I guess the end of this issue, but no, definitely not the end.
Well, best of luck to Bane. I hope he does it.
Yeah, congratulations, Bane. I'm glad you escaped. This really was a really good issue. I think it fell apart a little bit in the second half once they escaped. I think it very much could have just like stopped there and been okay, or maybe like a quick establishing bit of like, okay, they're in New York now, cool. But overall, the prison stuff especially was all really good. I really think I like Bane.
I do too. Which I'm like, I remember people being so mad with how Bane was in the last of the 90s Batman movies. He was like Poison Ivy's like assistant, but he was just basically like a dumb Hulk with a lucha mask. I need blood, help, Ivy. Kind of nonsense. And I'm like, and I remember people being really mad. I'm like, it's a dude in a luchador mask tied to Venom. Like, what the fuck? Calm down. And now I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, he's a real character and interesting. Okay. And from moment one, like, this is his baby in prison. I'm like, oh, this is so sad. I was on board with like his whole journey. I really liked. It established his character and built him up like in the first like 20 pages in a way that like isn't usual. I read for comics like outside of like standalone graphic novels, I guess.
It
was really good.
I do really like that part. I do think it's really smart the way the Nolan Batman basically tied that in with the League of Assassins. Like that made so much sense because it's like the only problem is he has no real connection to Batman and Gotham. And so by sort of tying them, making it with like, hey, Ra's al Ghul got killed by this Batman guy. I've got to kill him. Mm-hmm. That at least you're like, oh, that makes sense that he's connected through this. And then he's being manipulated and doesn't know it. Like, I thought that was all really good. But because that's the coolest part is the prison stuff. Like, that's actually really rad.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I kind of want to write like a League of Assassins prequel now where you learn about how they came to be. And it's like a prison where they're all babies.
Baby prison.
Muppet
baby
Babies prison.
Muppet
Baby
Babies
Geniuses 3.
prison.
Baby prison.
Oh dang! I think the idea of a baby prison has legs. I don't know.
Very
I don't
short
know.
legs.
Very short. Yeah.
Very short, chubby legs you just want to eat.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very short legs that can't support a lot. So maybe it's not the best idea.
basically everything is a prison for babies.
Yeah, I think that's
This is now just a Rugrats episode, Chris.
yeah.
Get their screwdrivers, they can get out of any prison.
Wow, those babies really were very resourceful. But okay, so we are of course. I get anything else to say about Bane here?
I'm excited to read some Nightfall. I think 4 months
Yeah.
later, Nightfall proper starts.
Yeah,
Like in March '93.
So yeah, what we are going to be doing is we're going to be next time we're reading Batman number 492. Then we are reading Detective Comics number 659 the week after that. Then we're essentially just trading off back and forth. Batman 493, Detective 660, Batman 494, Detective 661. You're not going to remember this now, but that's okay because we'll keep
Just
telling you.
Nightfall
But next time,
reading
just
order. It's
Batman.
on DC Infinite. I'm sure if you had a trade of Nightfall.
Yeah.
Consult your local library for a giant trade that's probably has the spine destroyed.
Yeah. And again, we're not reading everything Nightfall. We're just kind of reading the main Broken Bat stuff. So next time, Batman 492. And then instead of like a regular comic read, we're going to watch and talk about some episodes of Batman the Animated Series. Well, a few different things. We're going to read Perchance to Dream. Did I say read? Of course.
Yeah.
We're going to watch Perchance to Dream, Season 1, Episode 26 of Batman the Animated Series. And then we're going to watch an episode from Justice League Unlimited Season 1 called This Little Piggy. So a couple of different episodes starring Kevin Conroy as Batman. The Perchance to Dream is one that I think it listed as one of his favorites. Is that right, Vince? Same with This Little Piggy? Is that how it is?
Right. Perchance to Dream, in some interview, he said that was his favorite. And I know when he used to do conventions, he's had cancer for a couple of years, so he hasn't been doing them. But when he would do conventions, he would do a bit from This Little Piggy that we'll see.
Got it.
He'll always perform it live.
Yeah, so a very Batman heavy month for us here. Well, I guess Batman heavy few episodes in a row here, but that's okay. So a couple of episodes of some cartoons next time, and then Batman 492. Anything else we have to talk about? Speaking of bad movies and the Mothman prophecies, are you going to watch that for the Your Stupid Minds podcast, Chris?
Maybe one day. It's not a very good movie. I don't know if it's bad enough to cover, but maybe.
Is it Richard Gere and Deborah Messing?
Is it Deborah Messing? I know
Is it Richard
Gere's in it.
Gere?
Yeah, he's in the Mothman prophecy, isn't he?
Was he the main guy?
He was the Mothman, and Deborah and Grace prayed the prophecy. No, I didn't see it.
Here we go. Laura Linney. Oh, Deborah Messing's in it too. Yeah.
Anyway,
what are you really doing though? Yeah, what's relevant?
Yeah, our podcast is covering a little movie you might have heard of this year called Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh, I've heard terrible things about
it.
that.
It made $1 billion. It's just a fan service. I mean, if you wanted to know what happened to the Barbasol shaving cream can from the first Jurassic Park,
I have for nearly 30 years. All my fanfic had that in that.
Well, your answers have finally been revealed. Dodgson had it, and he
Dodson.
took
Nobody
it with
cares.
him.
Nobody cares. That's the joke. We got Dobson's got it. That's the inversion of the line. That's hilarious.
Great.
So so a question. I didn't see the second Jurassic World movie, Jurassic Park 5. Do I need to have seen that to see Dominion? Or
I didn't, and I had to look up who a couple of characters were that didn't get real introductions. But after that, no, you don't. It's basically like after the incident where an island exploded and dinosaurs live among us. I was like, okay, well, you've explained it.
Great.
That's right. Because I heard like there was like a Velociraptor blood transfusion in the previous movie and all sorts of bullshit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is I mean, if you guys want to, we previously covered The Lost World, which I think is a little controversial because some people like that movie. This movie is really, really bad.
It's on Peacock, I think. I think I can watch it right now.
I'm not going to watch it. No way.
But I will listen to your stupid minds.
Yeah.
Vince, how are you doing? What's going on with you?
I'm great. We're just getting sick over here. We had COVID and then we had the flu. Hopefully I think we're done with the flu, but you know, it is what it is. I saw Black Adam this week. I have not seen Black Panther 2 yet, but Black Adam was pretty fun. Bruce loved it, so you know I voted a good vote of confidence for that. And there was a trailer for the new Shazam movie, which looks awesome too. So DC's kind of getting it together. I would say it was a pretty good movie. Pierce Brosnan's really good as Dr. Fate, and I now know Dr. Fate's powers, which I didn't know before. So that's a win column for that.
Great. Do you think we need to read some Black Adam or some Shazam for the show soon?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I do know that, like, I remember reading stuff like The Rock had been signed to make this movie like in 2007. And they're like, Rock, we can give you other movies. Like, you can play other heroes. And he's like, no, I'm playing Black Adam. I'm like, dude, why don't you play like a Green Lantern or like some like marketable hero? He's like, no, I'm playing Black Adam. And he stuck with it. It was fine. I don't think so. There's a Superman Shazam First Thunder where like Superman and Shazam meet for the first time. That's from like maybe 15 years ago. That's got really good art. I think it's by Jeff Parker, the Bone guy.
I've read that.
I've been wanting to read, but I could do that. I could do that on my own time.
Yeah, you know, maybe it'll be fun for a week when we can't figure anything else out.
Right. I do not know Shazam or Black Adam at all. I was talking to my father-in-law. I was like, "Who is this guy?" And I tried to like tell him like he's kind of like Namor in that like he's kind of he's kind of like stoic and sometimes a good guy, sometimes a bad guy. I guess I don't know. I don't know much about Black Adam, to tell you the truth.
All right. And me, I do have my new computer set up here. I haven't gotten back to streaming. It's been a big wrestling week here. I'm like, I've been at live shows. Boy, AEW Full Gear, hell of a show. If my voice sounded weird on this episode, it was because I was hooting and hollering forever. And geez, I'm like 2 months behind on Japanese wrestling here. I don't know when I'm never gonna catch up on it here. I'll prioritize streaming here. Hopefully I can get back to that soon, but I'm pretty much almost got everything ready to go here. I'm mainly I've been in the process of completely moving my whole apartment around, and I like the way I've got myself like a little streaming nook set up now, which is great. But it's not great for the rest of my apartment, which is in shambles because I've sacrificed everything else to make this little nook. So, you know, that's my life here. That's what's going on right now. I'm glad. I got nothing else to say. I think we're done here. Vince, I love you.
Love you too, bud.
Chris, I love you.
Oh no, I've seen a vision of the future. I have to go.
Every time. Wait, that's not even. Where are you going? What was the vision? God,
sorry, did I say I have to go? I've already traveled back in time to before you said that.
That was exactly 10 seconds too. Wow. All right. This I don't think he loves me. I think we proved last time that he did love us, but now I'm not so sure. Listener, thank you for listening. We love you. I'm sure you love us. And I hope you love us if you've been listening for as many episodes. Maybe this is your first episode.
Pretty strong. Love's a pretty strong word.
Maybe they don't know if they love us yet, but we hope you love us. I'm ending it. All right, bye. Good night. See you.